Hey guys, it's Joy with Decor Made with Joy, and we are going to make a wreath together today. And what I'm going to do is try to replicate as close as I can this wreath, because I've had a request for a second one of these, and I did explain to the client that no two handmade wreaths are just alike, but that I could get close with the materials I have. She did not like this fern, tan fern over in here, so I won't be using that. And I have a little bit different materials, but we are going to make it on a moss base. So you see that I pulled all the materials that I might use in this wreath. I don't think we'll be using all of that, but I pulled what I might use. I've also got my moss base. This is a 14-inch. It was round, and I have squished it together to make it a little oval. Moss bases are interesting, and moss bases are interesting in that they're straw filled. And so to compress it, all you have to do is push in. And I like that little oval shape to it. And so that's what I did to get started. And I'm going to go ahead and cut up some materials off camera. I don't think I need to video all that, but let me show you. This is a ficus leaf, and I love using ficus, but how I break this up is into 4 pieces. These 2 side pieces here, I will cut here and here, and then this upper long piece I divide into 2. I cut that there and make that a cut, and then cut here and make that a 4th cut. And I'm going to be using a yellow ficus. Before I used orange, but this client wanted more yellow in this wreath, so I have some yellow ficus. And all the colored ficuses are so pretty. I've got purple and green and reds and all sorts of colors. And I got my bundles of ficus from Nick's Seasonal Decor. They carry the bundles. First part of this wreath that I want to show you, and I haven't hung it on my easel yet, I want to show you how to make the upper ribbon and hanger. And for this one, I'm using a Ferris silk. It's an orange, dark orange and a light orange. Reminds me of sherbet stripe. And I learned how to make these hangers from Ashley Greenwood, 3 Little Greenwood Designs. And since then, I have seen several other designers make something similar, but everybody has their own style. But what I do and what I learned from Ashley is just determine your upper part, or where your upper ribbon is going to be, and your hanger, it's kind of awkward holding this and showing the camera, is going to wrap around your moss wreath, and you're going to crimp it in and take a zip tie and go around the crimped in area. And for this, I really like using a very small zip tie. I'm going to use that larger one to make a hanger, but let's see if I can hold this up. So we start pulling it tight, but before we get it all the way cinched in, I'm going to take my larger zip tie and feed it up through the back of the ribbon like so. and then start connecting that. You want to take your, you want to cinch that lower one, the little small one, in all the way to capture that zip tie that's going to be your hanger, and then cut that off. And then your upper one, the bigger one that's going to be your hanger, clip it off, and you've got a nice little handy dandy hanger on your moss wreath. All right, so with these hangers, you're gonna, the ribbon in the back, I like to make a little longer than the front one. So the front one, I'm gonna make a dovetail. And the back one, I could rotate that around, but as you that work with fair silk know, the underside is finished and pretty as well. So I'm going to leave that orange visible, and I'm trying to decide if I want like the reverse dovetail or if I want to dovetail it. And what I'll do is just hold off. I don't have to decide all of that right now, but I have made my upper ribbon with a hanger built in. So again, it was a small zip tie and a larger zip tie. I could just use one side, no problem there. You just want to get the one captured into the small one that cinches in your ribbon. And I like to take my hemostats and pull that as tight as I can. I'm a retired nurse, so I use some medical tools in my craft making. Keep that back off, but I have a nice hanger. And you know, those of y'all that haven't worked with moss wreaths, most of my design is going to be down in this area, so I can get away with using a smaller wreath form. This is a 14-inch round that I got from off the internet, and I really enjoy working with these moss wreaths. Okay. Before I start putting stuff into the moss wreath, I'll just go through a few SKUs with you of these bushes that I have. This is a pretty fall bush that has some maple leaves. It has some yellow little tiny flowers and some little berries. A little bit of greenery on there. And the SKU on that, I believe, is 63446. 63446. And I either got this at Craft Outlet or Brian Lane Designs. And so there is that. Then there's this real pretty birch leaf. It has some yellow and orange and greens in it, and a little bit of feathery kind of strawy material. And I believe the SKU on that is 29423. 29423. Then I have this one with the rust and the orange pumpkins on it, and that SKU is 24198. 24198. And I'll probably end up using all of these in there. I don't have tags on all of my materials, but most of them I do. Okay, we're going to start making this, and we're going to start with some ficus leaves. I've got one little piece of orange, and I'm going to put that right in the center, straight up. Dip it in my glue pot. I need to add some glue to that, and then just press down through the straw until you get a good hold on it, and then you're just going to let that dry. That straw is pretty easy to go through. Sometimes I use my pick machine if I'm having difficulty, but usually all I have to do is, if I'm having trouble getting through, just pull it out a little bit and go at a different angle. I believe this brand has a wire support around it, so you want to make sure you avoid that as you're inserting florals. Okay, so now we're just going to start going in with some of our yellow ficus. And no magic to that, just kind of go around. We're just building up layers here is what we're doing. We're layering up our florals right now. That yellow ficus is really pretty, and she wanted more yellow than the other example of orange that it had. And if I decide the leaf is too big, I just find a good place to split it and cut that off. Dip it in my glue pot and go on this other side. And I can even take some ficus going downward. Here's a good branch to go right in the middle. Dip it in my glue pot. And because again, I'm going to layer. I'm going to come in front of that. This piece is a little bit too long for the side, so I've got to find a good break point and cut that off. So that's a good, base layer. I want to take this piece going down, and then I'm going to build in front of it. So we're going to cut that off at an angle. I may have to pick it, we'll see. Spread out those florals on there. As best you can. We can play with it a little bit more later. Stick it in my glue pot. And you see how that is. Have a little bit of that sticking up, but when I get my bow and all that in there, that's not going to matter, although I could cut it off. All right, this next one I'm going to cut up a little bit. I'm not going to go in whole like I did with that other. This has some pretty acorns on it, some leaves and berries. I really like that. Spread that out the best you can. I'm really going to want some pumpkins coming down. So I'll add this, but I think I want to go in first with just some more layering. And I love these leaves, and I don't have the SKU on them. I may have gotten these at Hobby Lobby when the fall season first opened. And I'm just going to kind of take this out here on the side. And let's see, I've got 3 pieces of that, so let's go ahead and do one over here. And you're starting to get the vision how it's just going to be drapey and go down. Okay, we're going to use our last piece of vibrant leaves, and I'm going to try to go up behind, kind of have that coming down below that. I like that. All right, I'm going to go in with this birch leaves and layer that. And I feel like I'm hitting that wire, so I will just go ahead and pick that end. Dip it in my glue. There we go. And bring that down. I have another piece of that for the other side. And if you don't have a pick machine, never fear. Most of the time you don't have to use it, but you could also use a wooden pick. And I have a video on my YouTube channel on how to use those wooden picks if you've never done that, but not hard to figure out. So if you need that link, let me know. But you see how I'm just building it out with layers. Layers, layers, layers. Okay, let's try to get these pumpkins in there. You don't have to worry about shoving that all the way up because we're going to cover that up with some things. But isn't that pretty with the pumpkins hanging down? I like that. So this customer really wanted some yellow in here, and I have some yellow leaves with the acorns. I'm going to add those. I've got this. I'm not even sure what that is, but it's left over from another project. This is an oak leaves with acorn, and it's a spray, 2751058GD. And I have no idea where I got that. It's America's Best. See where we want to go with that. Kind of like that. So let's dip it in our glue. Then we are also going to go in with some orange pip berries. Heather with Velvet and Vines told me last year that a lot of searches include pip berries, so I definitely try to include these in fall designs. So take and spread those out like you can, and cut the length that you want. Dip it in your glue. We're going to go on the side here. Just spread that out. Same thing on the other side. Just take some more pip berries and go on the bottom. Spread those out a bit. Let's take our last little bundle. Be careful when paper starts coming off like that. It globs the glue and it can burn the fire out of you, so just be careful. You don't want to burn yourself. I mean, we all burn ourselves, but you want to be careful. All right, at this point, we're starting to get, our wreath all filled out. I'm going to go ahead and add our bow here in the center, and then we'll fill in around that with our remaining florals. To add the bow, you could do it in several different ways, but what I do is get an old stem. I save these, I'm sure you do too, and cut the leaves off. Try to cut the end so that it's like a pick. Just cut it on an angle so that it will stab down in there. Determine the length you need, and we don't need very long here. I'll start with that, and then I'll cut off from there. And then I take my bow that I made, and I made a video on making this bow. If you want to watch that, I'll post that up soon. And then I'm taking my bind wire and just securing it to that floral pick. Take it around in different directions and then meld it together. So that's what I ended up with. I don't know if you can see that, but I just secured it around there. The bind wire. And then dip the end down in your glue, and I may have this a little bit too long. We shall see. And push it down in there. We're going to take our tails and just weave it through the foliage. Underneath those pretty berries, we don't want them hidden. think I am going to cut this tail off. I'm not liking that so much. And just fluff that bow. Okay, this yellow that I didn't know what was still does have the tag on it. I think I've used a little bit of that before, and it's an Ashland Deluxe Bush Yellow Berry. So I'll put that up so you could see it. And then the numbers are here on the other side. Let me fold that down. Okay. It said she wanted yellow, more yellow than the original one I made. I'm going to put a piece of yellow, piece of that yellow bush coming out of my bow. And that will cover up the mechanics and hopefully satisfy her desire for more yellow. It looks good, doesn't it? So, all right. I'll glue strings off and see what else I want to add. All right, I've got some orange filler flower, and I'm going to fill in some sides with that. Same thing on the other side. Just pushing these straight into the moss. I haven't had to pick any of these. It's pretty, isn't it? Now, let's see. Got another one of those. Let's see where to put that. Back behind my bow. All right. Pretty, pretty. So full. Oh. Since she wanted some more yellow, I think I'm going to put a couple of black-eyed Susans in there, but I think I need to steam that, so I'll get that going. And as you can see, I've got a lot of flowers, but we're getting pretty full here, and I don't want to overstuff it, so we're going to stop and think for a minute. Okay, it needs a little bit more here on the sides, and I've got some leaves and acorns cut up, so I'm going to be adding those in. So I think I have just about stuffed that full, but my process is that I let something sit and I look at it. So I'll let this sit at least until tomorrow and then come back and see if I need to add anything else. But I'm real pleased with how it turned out. Let's see if we could get you a good look. But these moss wreaths are fun, and they just end up with such a dramatic look with all the florals hanging down, and you could just really stuff a lot of florals in there. I think it works especially well for the fall florals. But I hope you like that, and I hope that that helps you. And if you have any questions, just please reach out and let me know, because this is about my 4th or 5th moss wreath that I have done. I did one for the summer, and this is the 3rd one for the fall that I have done, and I enjoy doing them. So, well, you take care and have a good rest of your day.